Great. Let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. There we go. All right. Welcome. Okay, welcome to Lunch and Learn Wednesday workshop series. This week we're talking about permission to dream bigger. And I am Jen Laffin. I am a personal coach for high achieving women, just like all of you. I'm a certified professional coach, a master teacher, and Romeo's mom. And there's my boy right there. So you can probably hear him chewing on his bone in the background here. So let's talk about where we are going today. First of all, we're going to begin like we begin every week, which is to talk about the primal brain, because it is important. Because every time I start talking about something in regards to personal development, I can't help but talk about the primal brain, because it really is that common thread that weaves through so much of what we do. We're also going to talk about those dreaded shoulds, have tos, and supposed tos. We're going to talk about other people's expectations and some societal conditioning, spinning and confusion. And then we're going to talk about what you really want, because today, like I said, the title of today's presentation is Permission to Dream Bigger. And then we're going to talk about actually doing the thing and starting to bring that dream to life. And then I will leave a little time at the end for questions. So we will begin. Let's review our primal brain. Our primal brain regulates our emotions. This is the part of our brain that has not evolved as much as the other parts of our brain. Scientists have found that our brain actually, as it has evolved, there is still a part of our brain that was very active and most active back in the caveman days. And if you think about what life was like back in prehistoric days, you'll understand why the primal brain regulates our emotions, including the emotions of fear, stress, confusion, joy, comfort. Back in the prehistoric days, the primal brain had 3 goals. That was like the 3 main jobs it had were to keep you safe, to keep you alive, and to help you save energy. And life was a lot different back then. But the primal brain has not caught up to the fact that those 3 things, while they are still important, they are not our primary needs right now. So the primal brain loves familiarity, it loves certainty, and so it loves to keep you in your comfort cave. This is my term for your comfort zone. And you'll hear me talking about the comfort cave a lot, and we will also be talking about it today. So the primal brain uses thoughts and emotions to keep you in your comfort zone, and you'll see why in just a minute here. So what happens when we challenge ourselves to dream big? Think about a time in your life when you have pushed yourself outside of your comfort zone, whether this is maybe something in your personal life, maybe something at work. Think about what happened to you when you challenge yourself to dream a little bit beyond what you are used to doing. When this happens, our fear freaks out, our primal brain freaks out, and it launches into overdrive. And one of the things that it does is it starts with the negative voice within. And I love talking about this negative voice within, because so many people, so many women do not understand that that negative voice inside you is not you. Okay. What does the negative voice within sound like? It could sound like the voice of doubt. It can sound like a bully. Whenever you are challenging yourself to go bigger, right away, it's going to kick in those self-doubt things that we talked about a few weeks ago, the procrastination, the perfectionism, the comparison, and especially the imposter syndrome, that imposter voice. And it's going to maybe start bullying you and seeing if it can get you to turn right back around and head back to your comfort cave. So whenever you are challenging yourself to do something bigger and you start to feel doubt, or maybe you start to feel a little bit bullied, understand that this is coming from your fear and from your primal brain, because it wants you to stay in your comfort cave. Okay. It uses tactics such as using the word should, have to, or supposed to. Okay, so if you've ever say to yourself, I should do this, or I have to do that, or I'm supposed to do this, and those are things that you do on autopilot, which is what we talked about last week. Those are like automatic responses. Understand that this is a tactic that fear is using on you to keep you in that comfort cave. And when we say to ourselves, I should do this, I'm supposed to do this, fear loves to tell us that something bad could happen, that people will maybe laugh at us if we try something that we're not used to doing, and maybe it doesn't go well. Fear uses those tactics, again, to keep us playing small. So when I said earlier that when you're hearing that bullying and that voice of self-doubt and perfectionism and imposter syndrome, understand it is not your voice. It is the voice of your primal brain. It is the voice of fear. So while those are a part of you, once you understand, like the primal brain, it's yours, right? It's your biology. But once you understand what its job is, to keep you safe, keep you alive, and keep you lazy, and how it is the least evolved part of our brain, you can understand a little bit more and like separate yourself from that, from the results of what it's trying to create for you. So it may also be the voice of hearing in your head other people's expectations, OPE. Other people, even when they're not around, you can hear maybe what your mom would tell you to do about something. That is a really, we never really stop to question other people's expectations. We also never stop to question societal conditioning. And what I'm talking about this is like, for instance, someone might say, or we might have the thought that I have a college education, I have a college degree, I shouldn't stay home and raise my kids because women with a societal degree or with a college degree should be working professionally instead of not necessarily staying home to raise the kids, but working from home and not pursuing something professional. Societal conditioning may say women should stay home and raise their kids. That's what it might say, but maybe you don't want to do that. And so you feel this like this, they call it cognitive dissonance between what you think and what you're experiencing is not necessarily the same thing. Again, understand that giving, Romeo says hello, giving airtime to that is one of the ways that fear is trying to control you. Hold on one second. Now I got him kicked out. I tried to do that before I started and he came back in. So when you're hearing that voice of fear, when you're feeling bullied inside your head, ask yourself, is it true, or does this just feel true? Is it true that just because I have a college degree, I shouldn't be, working from home? Is that true, or is it just something that I have believed for so long that I've never really stopped to question? So most people don't know that they can question their thoughts, but thought watchers like you do. And if you have been here with me since the beginning, you know that I have been talking about the importance of being a thought watcher. And when you have a thought that comes up and you feel like, remember, we've talked about how you will often feel that something is off before you can recognize the thought. And by tuning into the emotions and the feelings that we get in our body, we are able to kind of go back and trace and see where those thoughts are coming from, asking ourselves, is this thought true or does it just feel true? And if you don't like the thought, if it's not jiving with where you want to go and what you want to be, remember, you can always change the thought. So another way that fear may try to keep us in our comfort cave when we go to play bigger with our lives is it loves to keep us in the luxury of spinning in confusion. This is one of its favorite moves. So be expecting this. When you make a commitment to level up your life and start doing bigger things for yourself, it is going to put you in a state of literally spinning in confusion. You get a lot of self-doubt creeping in and your progress stalls. Maybe you never begin. Other signs that you might be spinning in confusion is like, you know, you want to do this big thing, but you're not quite sure how to bring it to life. You're not quite sure the steps. You're not quite sure where you're going with it. You know where you want to go, but you're not sure how to get there. So instead of actually beginning and trying, you stay stuck in this confusion, and it loves to confuse you with like little details. Like, let's say you wanted to start your own business. One way that fear may keep you stuck in confusion over that is you just can't decide what kind of business structure you want. If you need an LLC or if you're going to be not an LLC, what you should name it. I know some friends who have tried to start their business and they get hung up on their website and what their website should look like. And so instead of actually leveling up to do that thing and actually do it, they spend more time like spinning in confusion over the little things. All of that is just fear trying to keep you from leveling up. This quote that I have at the bottom is one, like when I read this quote, I'm like, whoa, this is totally applies to my life. And so maybe it applies to yours too. And that is this quote from Nelson Mandela, that it only seems impossible until it's done. And the reason that I really like this quote is that this is your brain keeping you stuck spinning in confusion, because it's telling you all the reasons why you can't do it. It's telling you, it's keeping you stuck in that confusion. But once you start to take action and move forward, it's suddenly you have perfect clarity. So my question for you is, are you ready to leave your comfort cave and dream bigger, level up your life? Okay. Dreaming bigger requires a couple things. We talked about this last week. It talks about committing to action. Nothing happens until you commit to start taking action on those dreams, by actually deciding that you're going to start saying yes to the things that will move you forward and no to the things that keep you stuck. Okay. Dreaming big also requires an understanding that you do not have to believe every thought you think. Why? Because many of these thoughts are going to come from fear that are just trying to get you back into your comfort cave. And remember that when you have a thought like that, you can ask that question, is this true, or does it just feel true? The other thing that dreaming big requires is that you should expect doubt. You should expect to question yourself. Is this really what I'm meant to do? Is this really, do I really have what it takes? That is all very normal. Remember, we talked about it at the beginning. That is fear trying to keep you safe. Okay, expect it to be a roller coaster ride, and then it won't surprise you when it happens. You also should expect that you will need to sit with discomfort. And that's why right now I'll give a little plug for next week's workshop, because I will be talking next week all about the discomfort that comes with doing your big thing. Okay, that discomfort is not a sign that you're doing anything wrong. It is a sign that you actually are moving forward. Okay, so what kind of discomfort am I talking about? Well, you have to come next week and find out. How about that? All right, so why should you consider dreaming bigger? And I'm sure you've all heard this statement, if you do what you've always done, you're going to just get what you've always gotten. We talked about this a little bit last week with autopilot. As we go through life, it's very easy to get ourselves stuck on autopilot and just keep getting the same results we want. But all of you are here today to hear about dreaming bigger. And so I'm assuming then that you have maybe an inkling to do something a little bit bigger for yourself. That is going to require you to not only dream it, but to take a little action on it. Another reason why I'm asking you to consider dreaming bigger is because it would be a major up-leveling in your identity. Because to do the thing you want to do, you're going to have to change. You're going to have to start thinking about yourself as someone who can do the big thing. Okay. And that to me is a very exciting thing. It's a very scary thing. Yes, absolutely. It's scary. Well, let's be honest. It is scary. You're doing something you've never done before, but it's not impossible. Not at all. And finally, the thing why I'm encouraging you to dream a little bit bigger is because let's face it, most people won't do this work. Period. Most people will not do this work. They will get started, they will feel some discomfort, and they will stop. Or they will think of their dream and their brain will shoot out all the reasons why they can't do it, and they will believe every one of it and they will not begin. And so when you get to the end of your life and you're looking back on it, wouldn't it be awesome to be able to look back at all the cool things you did because you stood up to your fear and you did it anyways? I think that would be so cool. So what will big dreams require of you? It will require you letting go of perfectionism. Okay, you're not going to be able to do this perfectly. You've never done it before. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to struggle. Knowing that ahead of time should make it a little bit easier because you'll know that it is a part of the process of evolving, right? You're also going to need to have a willingness to fail and make mistakes. Okay, failure can mean whatever you want it to mean. And worthy fails are fails that you make along the way to becoming who you were meant to be. And you can look at it as either a bad thing, or you can look at it as a learning experience and learning one way that didn't work. That's how I prefer to look at failure. Same thing with mistakes. Mistakes are not a bad thing if you learn from them. And if you look at them as something, as a learning experience, something that is teaching you, okay? You're going to have to learn how to sit through the discomfort and keep moving forward. And again, this is something I'll be talking next week. And I'll also be talking next week more about the buffering activities that we do when we have discomfort that create other problems for us, okay? Such as social media scrolling, snacking when we're stressed, binging on TV, those kinds of things that we do to avoid the discomfort of our growth. Big dreams will also require you to get a little curious in exploring new options and ideas, maybe ones that were never present to you before. And if you're saying to yourself, well, I never get any new ideas, I'm going to tell you that once you go looking for new ideas, you will find them. Okay, that's just the way the brain works. Once you tell it what to go looking for, it's going to go to work finding it for you. Big dreams will also require you to get a little creative and see things in new ways. And if you say, well, I'm not a creative person, well, you're not a creative person as long as you keep telling yourself you're not a creative person. But again, once you start looking to see things in new ways, you'll be amazed at what you can find. Big dreams will also require you to have a willingness to change and evolve into your very best self. Okay, for a lot of people, that's really scary because you're giving up everything you know. And while I say you're giving up everything you know and everything that you are, you're going to carry some of that with you into your next self. But just imagine, like, I'm so excited to meet the person that I'm evolving into because she's going to be really cool. I'm designing her to be that way, right? So the final thing that big dreams will require of you that I want to talk to you about today is saying yes to your future self, saying yes to becoming her, saying yes to creating her, saying yes to designing her, because she can be anything you want her to be, you guys, anything. Okay, but you have to say yes to her. What is the secret to your success? It's remembering that you get to decide what any mistake, failure, or discomfort you experience. You get to decide what that means. And I tell you this because remember, your primal brain, your family, your friends, your societal conditioning, all of those things are going to try to keep pulling you back. But the more that you keep yourself focused on where you want to go and who you want to be, the less those things are going to be weighing in on you. Okay. So the question that I have here, and I know we're running tight on time, but I want you to think as you're giving yourself permission to dream bigger. I want you to ask yourself, what is that? What is it that you really want? And you may want to take a screenshot of this screen because these are really great journaling questions to explore in your journal. What would I really want if money wasn't an issue? If time wasn't an issue? If support or resources weren't an issue? What would I really want if doubt and fear did not exist in my world? Give yourself permission to just explore. Remember, don't judge anything that you're putting down on the page, just put it down. Give yourself permission to dream. And then ask yourself, does this big dream scare you a little? Because it should. And if it doesn't scare you and it doesn't create some emotion in your body, you're probably not dreaming outside of your comfort zone. Okay. And then the next thing that I always follow it up with is, why do you want it? Why do you want to do this big thing? What would it really mean to you if you did it? What would change for you in your life? And how would you change? What kind of person would you evolve into if you did this thing that you didn't think you could do? Okay, and you might want to screenshot this too. And I think what I'll do is when I send the recording, I'll also include these questions for you guys because I didn't do a worksheet this week, but I will put those in the email too, so y'all have them. So final thoughts, remember, nothing changes until you consciously decide to say yes to your goal. So as you're going about and you're doing this work, get yourself ready to start saying yes to it. Okay. And just to give you a little bit of information, I have done this work. I don't know, many of you, some of you know, I used to be a teacher. I was in education for 9 years. I taught 4th and 5th grade. And I had a dream that I fell in love with writing, and I had a dream that I wanted to help other teachers become stronger writers. And I asked my school district at the time if I could be a district writing coordinator and help all of the teachers, like coach all of the teachers in my district on teaching writing. And I was told no, because my test scores were too high. I needed to stay in my classroom. And that really crushed me. And then I thought, I did some hard thinking. I did some dreaming. I did some writing about it. I ended up leaving the classroom, risking everything. I risked not having our income for me. I risked not having the teacher insurance, which was very good, the benefits, all of those things to be able to follow that dream. And when I left the classroom, I started a company called Teach Right, which is still very active today, where I help teachers grow as writers so their students can too. And that has led me to do this work that I do, which is why I'm here with you today. And if I hadn't had that dream, and if I hadn't decided to start saying yes to myself and saying yes to my dreams and dreaming bigger, we wouldn't be here today. You all would be eating your lunch somewhere else today. So, all right. What questions have you guys got for me about anything that I covered today? How about this? Can I ask you to put your biggest takeaway into the chat? I would really appreciate it if you do that instead of sending me an email. I think that might be easier. But remember, it all starts with that decision, and you get to decide, which is, to me, which is the coolest part of it all. You get to decide what it is you want to do. And there's no judgment there on any part. So tell me, what is your biggest takeaway from today? Is this true, or does it just feel true? That's a really good one, Mary Lou. Thank you for sharing that.
Jen, I do have a question for you. What was the time frame then for you from making the decision to leave the classroom, which is a really tough one, I know, to starting? What was that? What was your time frame? What did that look like?
That's a really good question. So I believe it was January or December 2016 that I put the bid in to be the writing coordinator. And because I knew that if I waited, it would be spring and they'd be already doing, hiring and that kind of decision. So it was probably late fall or winter time that I asked and was rejected pretty much right away. And let me just tell you, like, I was a darn good writing teacher. I was a terrible math teacher, which is why I'm like, you don't want me teaching 5th grade math anymore. Let me do writing. And then I decided in February to resign, to give my resignation for the end of the year. And I spent that summer pretty much coming up with the idea of Teach Right. And I believe by probably, I think I started right away in June with workshops. And I remember, because my workshops with Teach Right, for those of you who aren't familiar, are all on Zoom, writing workshops for teachers, which I used Zoom before anybody else did. And I remember when I first told someone what I was going to do, I was told, well, that's stupid. Who wants to sit on Zoom and write together? Can you imagine if I had listened to her? Right? I wouldn't be where I was today. Little did we know the importance Zoom would come to play in the life of everybody. But so Teach Right is going to be 5 years old next year. Okay. And then I started with coaching 2 years ago. So yeah, it's been quite the evolution. But as I look back, I see how all of those jobs that I've had in my life have led me right to where I am today. And there's a purpose for all of it. And if at some point, I had stopped saying yes to myself, and I knew nothing about starting a business when I left Teach Right, or when I left education. Okay. I knew nothing. I have no business training at all, but I am a master of the Google search. So there's always a way, my friends. There is always a way. If you want it, you will figure it out. So, all right, next week, we're talking about discomfort. You will not be uncomfortable. As a matter of fact, this will bring you a lot of relief. So please mark your calendar to come back next week and talk about getting comfortable with the discomfort of growth. It's going to be a good one. If you guys need anything, you know where I'm at. I would love to talk with you one-on-one if you are interested in doing that too, and just kind of telling me your story. That would be wonderful too. So, all right, everybody, thanks for being here today. I hope you all have a great week. We'll catch you next week. Bye, everybody.